Hi, everybody. Claire with Clairvoyant Psychic Medium here, and
Erika, Lane.
yay! I feel like this has been the longest week, literally ever.
Huh. Yeah.
Like it feels like we skipped last week because it really does feel like this was a hard week. Yeah.
So let's kind of recap on that. Mercury went retrograde. So I know obviously a lot of people are going to just point at that and be like, everything's crazy. Mercury's in retrograde. And I do think that that's a big part of it for sure. Like my car broke down, people are having health issues.
Yeah.
What electronics
Oh,
aren't
that's the
working.
Virgo health.
Well, and I said last week, remember, I said that it's going to be more intense because Virgo rules Mercury, so
Yeah.
it's like an extra potent Mercury retrograde. It's also, I think, what I've noticed is the weird part about it, and I know I said this last week too, is that like everything is still really high energy. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of little moving parts. It's like a lot of little ping pong balls, But then
Mm-hmm.
in the same sense, there's that hermit energy there that's like,
Fuck off! I want to be by myself. Like,
but I think it's like that you can't, it's like
mm-hmm.
how do you balance both? I even said in like a post, like how do you it's like if one side of the extreme is that you're really introverted because you don't want to face going out there in the world, and then the other side is you're extra extroverted because you don't want to face what's on the inside. You don't want to be alone, you don't want to be still with yourself, so I think there's both of that going on at the same time, and that we're trying to kind of find some equilibrium here.
Yeah, and with Libra in the South Node, like we're shedding that balance. So I feel like we're redoing it all right now. Like, what is balance even?
Ooh.
What is,
And in order to do that, we are also facing the extremes.
of the Aries? Okay. So yeah, Mercury went retrograde. That was a big thing. That was kind of it. That was the hugest, wasn't it?
I mean, that's all my brain can really
Yeah,
grab
me too.
onto about it right now.
So Monday, the 28th of August.
So Monday, Mars is in Libra,
Ugh.
just freshly entered into Libra, and the moon is in Capricorn, but by the time we hit Monday
Wow.
morning, the moon is almost out of Capricorn. So that means it's making a conjunction with Pluto. And as it's doing that, it's also actually making a trine to Mars and Libra because of that last degree, first degree, right? So as soon as the moon moves into Aquarius at the 0 degree mark, then it will make a more exact trine. But you get what I'm saying. That's all going to
Yep.
kind of happen as soon as we wake up on Monday. That is the energy that we will be faced with. And then, like, the moon will move into Aquarius and kind of move away from that intensity. But the way that I see that intensity is, first of all, think about the fact that North Node in Aries rules Mars. Mars enters Libra, which is that polarity of the Aries Libra axis, right? And we're adding that ambition to the Libra energy, but in a fall position, like in a opposite position, right? So I see that as reaching another little peak point, right?
Of healing.
Of this whole releasing that's going on in Libra right
The
now,
Libra. Yeah. I was saying like healing. So my brain was like, okay, because the Libra is in the South Node, we're rebalancing, or we're figuring out a new way to balance because it's not working the way that it was anymore. It towered out is what is happening. And so with Mars and Libra, we have the motivation to work on that.
Well, and I really think that quote that you used about how peace was never an option is really going to also reach a peak moment there, because you have that war
Fuck.
action oriented
Yeah.
planet opposing its ruler where we're all going. And it's like, listen, like, here's the ambition to like really stop trying to escape the conflict that needs to happen. Maybe.
Ah, yep. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I think
I
so
mean,
too.
every single person, every single client. I mean, I was running a garage sale here this weekend and I was doing readings out of the shed. And every single client that I was talking about, we had the conversation of, yep, the world's going to shit. Yep, something big is happening. Yep, I don't know, and that's the conflict. Like, there are a lot of people, and like, I know a lot of my family, totally not paying attention to what is going on, totally ignoring or blaming or whatever of what is actually happening. So I think when Mars goes into Libra, it's going to be that, you know.
Face it. Like,
Hmm.
but I still think people might opt out of it and they might just feel more frustration, Like I can see that feeling like a lot of frustration. But I also want to point out that that trine to Pluto is like, hey, you have this little moment here to kind of transform this, right? And the moon conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, that rules Saturn. So Saturn in Pisces is like what you just said. It's like there's this greater order to the universe. There's this greater intelligence to the universe, and it's also that responsibility thing, like, are you taking on too much responsibility for the universe, or are you not taking on any responsibility for the universe? And I think that we are for sure seeing that those extremes play out too, right? Like, I
Yep.
know that that's been a big frustration for me. I even just said that earlier today. Like, sometimes it feels like I care about things that no one else cares about,
Mm.
you and like, it's like that kind of what you said too, that I can't force anyone to care about the same things that I care about. So I
Yeah.
have to face the, what is the word? Like the out of my controlness of that,
Yeah.
or the emotion of that, or what I'm going to
I
do with
just
it.
keep hearing surrender. That's all I keep hearing.
I feel that, but it's so it's such a paradox, I feel, because it's like this one side and this other side, right? Like, yes, let go, but then also with this Mars and Libra pose Aries North Node, it's also like you need to fight for something, you need to do something, you need to stop fucking escaping this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think it comes down to, like, I'm going to, honestly, the serenity prayer itself. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Ooh, it's the wisdom to know the difference. How do you balance out two extremes with really good discernment to
There we
know
go.
when to be this and when to be that,
Yeah. And if you
when to
can't let
fight
it
and when to
go
surrender.
and it's just spiraling, that's when you just need to surrender.
Mm. Yep. Nope. That's a big one for me. And
Yeah.
I guess I'm saying that because of I know that is impacting my Libra energy a lot too.
Hmm.
We've been talking about that, like facing, or I think it's a
Oh, hang on, pause. Shout out to Bailey. I miss you.
she watches this like almost
I
every time
know.
too,
I know.
so I can already hear her going, "Oh, so sweet." So yeah, man, I think that there is a big need for discernment, and I think that if you really want to feel that balance come back to your life, then that's the key. Develop good discernment. What's worth fighting for and what's not? Where should you place your energy and where should you hold on to it?
I'm looking up discernment real quick just because the ability to judge well.
Which how fucking Libra is that?
Yeah. Yeah. The wisdom, the ability to judge. Yeah. Because if you think, like, let's just like dumb it all the way down. Let's take an actual judge, a human that is has the person's life in their hands, possibly, they need that wisdom of what has this person been through their whole entire life? What is the law? What it like all of that wisdom.
There's all these thank you. There's all of these factors at
Mm-hmm.
play. And to have really good discernment means that you need to expand clear out here,
Mm.
but then choose the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like make a decision. Like you grab all these different
Okay.
pieces and you make a decision based on that. And I think you did a good job of pointing out also why it feels so frustrating because of the people who have not been doing that for
Yeah, at all.
yeah.
For
And then
years.
also the moon moves into Aquarius where we're thinking about that again, where we're
Ah,
saying, funny Claire should say that when we're talking about the archetype of the judge and how all the judges that do have all these people's lives in their hands are not considering all the pieces.
yes. Oh my fucking god, yes. Uh, there okay, I'm gonna go off on a high horse for 1 second. I'm gonna really try to make it small. But just like because I am a huge true crime nerd, I listen to Morbid is my favorite podcast. Last podcast on the left is the other one, Crime Junkies, whatever. I can fucking shit them all out. But the main fucking thing, almost in every single one, is that it's like, the judge let him go. The judge
Yep.
didn't
Yep.
see it.
Yep. Or like what the one that we were watching, like, yeah, this guy, sexually molested his daughter for 7 years and he had to go spend every weekend in jail for a few years.
What the fuck does that do?
And that just also goes back to the patriarchy. Ooh, because again, when we're thinking about balance, we're also thinking about contrast and how these different pieces create balance. These extremes do create balance, right? So we have been totally imbalanced in masculine energy, which is why the judges don't consider all the other
Mm,
perspectives because they're just trying to get the job done.
yep,
And
there's
you need
too
that
many. I
feminine
don't
energy.
care. Mm-hmm.
To balance that out. That's what gives you good discernment. You want to create something, you have to have the other side of nothingness to create out of. You have to have both. It's
Yeah.
both and not one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday, moon is still in Aquarius, and there wasn't a lot going on Tuesday, but I guess I wanted to point out that while the moon is in Aquarius, Aquarius rules Saturn, so we're still kind of in that like Pisces energy. We're thinking about that too, right? But like at the same time, we're also in the Uranus and Taurus energy. And what comes to my mind here is like again with all the pieces, when you're in your head about all these things, um, Uranus and Taurus is like back to like grounding that into reality. And I think that's also where spirit
Hmm.
comes from too, and also ties into that whole tangent I went on before this podcast even started about how it's like you think like I am up in the world of the collective all the time, and I get frustrated about the fact that I'm still a human in a meat suit. But like spirit's like, hey, listen, alien Aquarius, we sent you here to be a human in a meat suit for a freaking reason because you need to ground this stuff out here down into reality. How are you going to do that? Um,
I have to say something that you didn't say. On Monday, Uranus goes retrograde.
oh, thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, ooh, and that makes sense then why I'm thinking about it as like an inward responsibility. Like, how do you ground this into reality?
Yeah.
How do you take all of this? Because, see, here's the thing, too. Like, to be out there in that, I say collective consciousness, but I guess the reason why I say that from like a spiritual perspective is because it's the it's the knowing that there's this greater intelligence at work, that there's this energy that is like
Faith. It's the
omniscient,
faith.
yeah. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is like sometimes when you get stuck in that world up there, um you you miss the whole reason, like you miss the whole purpose of what you're supposed to be doing with that world.
Yeah, because you're spiraling, you're spinning. It's like busy with no purpose, useless, wasted energy. So, in order to surrender, let it go, we have to have faith that things are, that's going to take care of itself. I don't need to fucking spiral about it. Let go, faith will happen.
But then it goes back to discernment of what you can take care of. And I guess maybe I'm bringing this all up because I think that that right there, what I'm saying, can be really confusing, especially for people who have a lot of air energy in their chart,
Okay.
or
I don't.
people who are just in their head a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's confusing to like I know you talk about it a lot, but it's weird sometimes how like some people would say like, well, I do this or I do that or whatever. And sometimes the other person listening to that, it's still just kind of like I can't, like it doesn't seem tangible. And maybe that's the thing too. It is a tangible thing. It's like you bring that down into reality because reality is a tangible thing. All this stuff in your head is just stuff in your head.
Okay. So, what just happened when you were saying that is, if this is something that you are relating to, like it's, this is too much, I don't understand. This is when you need to seek out help. If that is just you shitting it out to another person, aka journaling, or you, but that is help. You're doing something different because the balance is off and you have to figure out a different way to balance. So it might be that. It
Okay.
is that. Let's just be real. Like Libra energy, it they don't ask for help. They don't want to like confrontation, you know. Mars and Libra energy is that same feel.
You're right. And it's also that fear of rejection, I think too.
Oh yeah, people
And or
pleasing.
embarrassment of like it's also I think a lot of it has to do with high standards. Like I've been kind of thinking
Mm,
about that a lot too. Like you hold yourself to such high standards that to ask for help or to be vulnerable feels like a giant embarrassment to you.
wow. I just said wow because I don't think I have any Libra in my chart, and that's sad. That's sad to me.
But then that goes back, oh, okay, I get it now. Because I think that a big thing with this South Node in Libra is people kind of like what I said about being irritated that people just seem inconsiderate to me. Like I notice I've been more aware that like I take a lot of care with things. Like, we've talked about this even when it comes to like responding to a message, like I will sit and take so much care in that message. Like, and
I
you
started
show me
laughing
the
because
clarity of that.
yeah, look at how I looked back at an email that I sent yesterday to this lady, and I fucking couldn't understand what I said. Where I'm like, because the Aries is taking over. That's where you're seeing the inconsiderateness. Aries don't think; they just do.
Yep. Yep.
So
No,
it
and then
makes
I
sense
think
why that's irritating now. Yeah,
that Libra energy is being faced with that shadow. That's the shadow. The shadow
yeah,
is that irritation I feel when that happens. Because why? Because I'm being overly considerate, like it's that extreme to the extreme
yeah.
again. Because I'm
So
suppressing my wild side. I'm suppressing the more untamed, just say the thing, just do the thing, just fuck shit up kind of energy.
So the saying that I say all the time keeps coming to my head right now is you can't expect you from others.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think too that like you can't expect you from others, but also um you don't need to make yourself smaller for others either,
Mm,
because that's a big thing too. You're like, yeah, I can't expect myself from others, so I guess I have to kind of shrink myself when I'm around them.
mm,
Like, no, not that either. And I think that's a lot of the
yeah.
way you can go with it.
And I think that that is hitting Libras really hard. Like
Mhm.
I am fucking done making myself small. How the fuck do I not?
Yep. Yep.
And that might go to, you might need to ask for help, you might need to seek out a different way to, because it's not working anymore, you have to figure it out. No more suppressing yourself, no more making yourself small. Tap into the Aries energy and go fuck shit up because you fucking deserve to.
And the cool part about you bringing that up too is because, like I said, as on Tuesday, as the moon is moving through Aquarius, and it's like, making this reaction with all this stuff in Taurus, and it will also with Venus too. It's making squares in these areas, all the fixed sign things going at it again. It's like again, how do you ground this stuff into reality? And I think that opposition to Venus is also like what you said, like how you can collaborate, bring other people in to kind of help you ground this stuff into reality, because otherwise you might just be a balloon just floating off
Yep.
into the abyss.
Oh,
Um, you know,
because there's so much air.
and then what's the point in that? The air made you a human body out of earth for a freaking reason. It's to bring them together, the air and the earth, right? So like how do you take what like I think of it crown chakra, root chakra, right?
Yep.
How do you take that energy in through the crown and channel it down out the root into the earth, you know? And that could happen in just like you doing a spiritual practice type of way, or it might be that you need to rely on other people, or it might mean that you need to get more creative about your limitations. I could see that being a big one too, because I think of limitations with Taurus, it's um like making something out of what you have, you know?
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You just made me realize, because when you were talking about that, being floating up in the air, the air energy, it was before this you were talking about that, because how I explain air energy to people, there's three different signs. Gemini is the whole air in the room, all of the air, every fucking corner, everything. It is everything. And then Libra is the fan, the movement, the wind, it's movement. And then Aquarius is the balloon. It's we think we have control of this balloon, but I've never thought of it the way that you put it today, of like I need someone to ground my balloon to the like hold it down.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that that's such a different concept to me, because I don't have a lot of air. I can ground myself, I can figure that out on my own. But people that do have a lot of air in this time right now, this is going to be a really hard time to ground, because we're in Virgo season. It's mutable. It doesn't fucking feel very grounding. And Mercury's retrograde in Virgo. The other fucking earth signs are all retrograde right now, aren't they? Capricorn,
Wait,
Taurus
okay,
just
yep.
went retrograde.
Pluto retrograde in Uranus, and Jupiter's the only one that's not retrograde yet, and it won't be throughout this whole week. I remember checking on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we also because yeah, Mars leaves Virgo by the time we start this, and then you have Mercury in Virgo, that's retrograde, and then you have the sun in Virgo. So yeah.
Yeah. Yuck.
No, that
Okay.
makes a ton of sense. There's a
Yeah.
lot of just like I said, random popping off happening, and you feel this energy to deal with it all. How
Yeah.
can you ground this all down into something that is tangible, you know? And I think that's even been like where our
Mm.
headspace has been at. We have a ton of projects going on. You could even think of it that way. Like that's how I feel. I'm like holding on to 15 different projects at the same time that I'm trying to work on, and I'm trying not to like lose control of any one of those 15 things, but then you throw more things like juggling, almost like throwing more into the juggling, you know?
So I did listen to, I gotta give him credit. So Christopher Witecki, Serious Joy. I listened to his weekly forecast podcast, whatever, yesterday. And he really focused, and of course I listened to it because Uranus comes out of retrograde on January 27th, my
Oh,
birthday.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
So I was all like, bing, like what's going on? But the Uranus retrograde is that whole thing. When we are in this time from now until January 27th, every single sign, do not start new stuff. Only be dealing with what you've already been planning, doing. We don't need to take on any more. We fucking stirred up some
We have
shit
enough.
already.
We have
Yeah.
enough. We have enough on our plates.
Yep. But
Yeah.
that was the main thing he kept saying for every single sign. Don't start anything new. Just work with what you've been doing already.
And that has to go back a lot to discernment too, because you know you might also be noticing, because I think I have, where people are throwing more into your juggling thing, and you have to be able to discern and say like, no, I don't have the
No.
energy for that, you know. And that's hard to do,
Mm,
and especially with the Libra energy being, you know,
yeah, Libra energy doesn't
like to
confront.
say no, and like you
Yeah,
know
I have no problem. Except for with fucking family. Okay. I do have a problem.
it's cool though too, because the thing that I love the most about transits, especially for me, and I know that I've also been talking a lot about that with like, I feel like the transits are so much like more intense for me. But I feel like with that going on, it's like I don't notice that I have these problems until the transit happens because it actually throws things at me to face, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like I might not have had to worry about saying no to people for 5 months. And then as soon as the South Node goes into Libra, people are like, here's some things to say no to, Erica. Ha ha, have
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So cool beans. All right. So Wednesday. Wednesday's a big day because it's the full moon. So the moon
Ugh.
moves into Pisces when we wake up, and it's at the full moon at 8:35 p.m. And I'm gonna actually pull it back up too in case anything else comes to me, but just like right off the top of my head, um days. Right off the top of my head, you know, it's the full moon in Virgo, so
Pisces.
um it's a full moon in Pisces opposing Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
And well, first of all, Pisces, if I want to keep going with this rulership thing, which for some reason I'm feeling called to do this week, Pisces rules Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces. That makes it even more potent too, right? And then we have
Neptune
a lot.
is not retrograde.
No, Neptune is retrograde.
Okay. Okay.
And so is Saturn. So is Saturn in Pisces.
Okay.
And then so there's also a lot of, you're right, there's a lot of retrograde energy with this full moon for sure, because Mercury
And
on the other
mutable.
side, yeah, and Mercury on the other side, retrograde, you know. Um, so the
So it's
only
a lot of delusion. Delusion or not delusion?
hmm.
That's my fucking Seven of Cups is my card for next month.
But okay, so
Ugh.
I also took screenshots. I will only get into the human design for this day, right? And
Okay.
I didn't go too ham on it, but I'm just gonna like just gonna read what I took a screenshot of. So okay, where the moon is where are we at here? Okay, so the 37 friendship, family. The gate of friendship is about recognition through family or community. It offers support and nourishment to the group and holds the family/community together. Gate 37 recognizes that every relationship is built on agreements, and for its support and loyalty, it expects something in return. It holds on to these bargains, and being in the solar plexus, violating said agreements can push the gate to extreme emotions, turning friends into arch enemies. It's also it's a projected gate, and it's from like the tribal ego place. And it says, okay, remember, full moon's what we're releasing. So I think this part is even more important because this is the fear of this gate. And I like to think of us releasing fears on this day, right? So
Yeah.
it says, you are afraid that your participation, support, or help to a loved one when it comes to sorting out their life will not be rewarded. You are afraid that despite your best efforts, you will be betrayed and abandoned. At the same time, you may worry that you are not giving your loved one proper support. And how does
Uh
that kind of sum up?
yeah. Life right now.
This brings me back to what you said too about how you need to ask for help. And I think that that's also why, when you said that, because even that kind of frustrated me a little bit, because I think that there's a big thing going on where people that need help don't know how to ask for it, and people that want to help don't know how to help.
I just keep going back to that wisdom thing. So if you feel I think of what I wanted to say right now is if okay, I don't know how else to say this. I don't it's just gonna shit out of my mouth. If you feel like you have wisdom enough and that balance whatever to help another person, aka you are you've taken care of yourself enough, you have enough in your bucket to help others, then do it. If not, don't. I know that that seems so simple when I say it out loud, but it's not.
Ooh,
Like
the discernment.
I was talking to clients today, like people, we're dealing with a lot of people lately that they're having to take care of their parents, parenting their parents right now. And it's such a hard thing because it's like, what do I take on? How much do I do? I want to help, I want to be there, but it's going to cause resentment. I don't like, you got to, it's a fucking fine line with that shit. So that's that just goes right back to that feeling. Like you have to see every single day right now because of all of the retrogrades. And this is like what we did today. Like we'll just see what we feel like in the morning. Like we got to take it day by day. Wake up. How are you feeling? Are we going to do this? Where are we? Okay, then go from there.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, because I think that like what you said about taking care of like people that have to take care of their parents, I want to say it almost too goes back to the discernment thing, because I think that if you aren't being having good discernment in the moment, right? Like let's say that you're saying, "Yes, I'm going to take care of my parent."
Yeah.
There's a bunch of details to that, right?
A
It's
lot.
not just black and white. It's not just like I either take care of them or I don't take care of them. It's like
Yeah.
I'll take care of them. That comes with all of this, right? And I
Yeah.
think that we kind of forget sometimes that we can be discerning within those little things. Like we can say I'm taking care of my parent, but discern what that
But
looks like. You
yeah,
know, like exactly what part of that
I'm
you're
not going
going
to
to
wipe
take
my
on.
parents' ass. I'm not going to cook the meal, like whatever it is that you don't feel led to do, delegate, ask for help, figure it out.
Or say no if it has to come down. And like
Right. Yeah.
I think that that's where the spiritual side of this comes in. If you have to say no, you have to trust. Okay, this is a cool thing too. As much as you trust, even if you have really good faith and you trust in spirit, retrograde, body, you, right? You have to trust that you are a vessel for spirit just as much as you trust in spirit. Because otherwise, if you don't have that equilibrium going on, then it's the same thing as like the Christians who say that they have so much faith, but they don't think that their participation in that faith means anything. They think that they just sit here and live this life until they're raptured and they have no responsibility to do anything while they're here because they're just saved, forgiven, and they'll just go to heaven and that's the end of the story, right? So it is again discernment of like what is my responsibility versus what is spirit's responsibility, or what is spirit's responsibility through me, right? Like what is spirit trying to do through me? But then I think that also comes down to the point of like what that means sometimes when you have to say no because you know that this isn't the spirit working through you, then you give that to spirit
Yeah.
completely. You say that's not you working through me, that's you working outside of me.
Yep. The surrender part. Yep.
The other side
Woo!
of this too with the sun is it's the gate of aloneness, but it's like although it's the gate of aloneness, it's the part of the channel of community, right? Because it's this opposition in the same tribal ego projected, yada yada. It's the energy of being separate from the group or the family. It's the hard worker in the community, the family, or the community or the family. It's the breadwinner. This gate has the need to balance work and rest properly. Being in the same channel as gate 37, it needs the support and loyalty of 37 so it can continue to work hard. So this just does go back to like you alone versus you as a community, and you alone versus sometimes I think sometimes of my community as spirit. Like if I like here's a good example. Sometimes when I'm really stuck in my head, maybe this is my way of grounding. Sometimes when I'm really stuck in my head and I don't have someone who can unravel that mess for me, I'll pull cards for myself. You know,
Oh,
I'll go through that rabbit hole on my own
okay.
until I
Yeah.
reach the conclusion, you know.
Okay. Hmm.
But it's not me going on it through my own because I'm being because these
You're
cards are
having faith.
spirit, you know,
Hmm.
these cards are spirit giving me the
Hmm.
answers to synchronicities, the whatever I need to kind of relocate myself into where I'm going. So I'm not just sitting in that space of lostness.
So I think that I need to say just the fact that this is a Pisces full moon. Pisces is a very spiritual sign. It is the most. It is the 12th. It is like this is the last full moon of the witch's calendar, pagan, what the fuck ever. We are fucking shedding shit right now because we're going to hop into Aries Am I wrong right now with that? No, because people go by the lunar calendar. Yeah, because then we're going to be going into fall, which is in Samhain, which is New Year.
You lost me there with that. Like
Am I
you mean
wrong
like
with that?
we're fully stepping into Aries energy would be in the spring.
I know. I don't know why I said that. So pretend I didn't say the Aries
Okay.
part. But because that's what my head was like, oh, the next one is Aries. But um because we're going into Libra season. The next
Oh,
full
you mean
moon
the
is
next
Aries.
full moon. Okay, no,
Yeah.
no. Yes, and now I get what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. So with that being said, like we have autumn equinox coming up. We have like this is fucking December for the moons, you know? This is I can't go into this new year doing this anymore. I can't do like we're it's a lot. I just lost everything I was going to say, but apparently that was the big thing that needed to come out.
I really like what you said. I think um it's this the ending that you speak of, I want to say is that ending of what to give to spirit before spirit gives you
Oh,
back a weapon to go fight the war with, you
okay.
know?
So what I was trying to say is Pisces is the most spiritual. In this moon, if you are not listening to yourself or spirit or whatever, you're doing something wrong. You can't do this by yourself. So that isn't me saying you have to ask for help by a human. And just like you said, it can be spirit, it can be whatever. But Pisces is spiritual. You have to, there has to be something in there spirit wise. I mean, my last session today, I was like, you are not connected spiritually. That's why you're fucked up. Like, that's what I said.
No,
Like, you have to have that. If you have Pisces in your chart too, wake the fuck up. You
I
have to be
think it's
spiritual.
I think it's cool too because of also the maybe that's the delusional side of Pisces that thinks that it's the one that's in control. Because I
Huh?
want to go back to where I said that the fear that we're releasing is the fear that we won't get that support from a loved one or that we won't be able to know how to support a loved one, right? Like those are big things. That's like you having a alcoholic kid that you really wish would quit drinking and all you try so hard to be you try hard to be the spirit. You try hard to be the spirit and guide and direct that person towards the awakening of what they're doing, towards the unveiling of the delusion that they're stuck in. But you end up hitting this point where you're like, I am not spirit. I am a vessel of spirit. And this vessel of spirit is getting worn the hell down by trying to do something that I just can't freaking do.
Yeah.
It's not in my control, you
Yep.
know? So I think we have to let go of the fear and the
Surrender.
guilt around that. But it's like the fear and the guilt around that too, because I think it's like and especially with Saturn there, we take on that responsibility.
Ah, that's why we're shedding it so big.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is gonna
Ooh.
feel weird.
And also because when you were talking about the going into Aries part, I also saw it as like, when I said spirit hands you the weapon to go to war with,
Yeah,
I also
the
saw it as like,
warrior.
back in the day when people went to war, how that night before the big battle, it would be like a very spiritual
Feast.
night where because it
Yeah,
would be spiritual because you were coming to face with the fact that you could die tomorrow,
yeah.
you
Wow,
know?
that's so weird. I was listening to hang on. It was last podcast on the left, last podcast on the left. Jesus. Arthur Starcroft. Fuck, I'm gonna have to. But anyways, he went into the war. Hang on, it's Arthur Shaw Cross. Um, and back for Vietnam, and they would take anybody, but back in the day, they would take anybody. Like meaning the reason why they said that, like I said it like that is because this guy had so many traumatic brain injuries, like at least 8. Like that's way too fucking many. He was not all there. He should not have went to Vietnam, you know? So that being said, you have to cut like they said that on the podcast today where it's like you could die. You have to come to Jesus moment with yourself of is this what I want to die for? Is this
Worth
my
it.
Yeah.
What is worth fighting for?
Hmm.
Because life, whether like we all need to come to the realization or the reality, right? Delusion, right? We need to come to the reality that life is a struggle, but it's about what's worth struggling for, you know?
Mm. Hmm. Okay. All right. Next.
Okay, so Thursday, literally all I wrote down is that the moon is still in Pisces. So let's kind of keep feeling out that full moon
Releasing.
energy into Thursday. And again, it's gonna be a lot of that feeling out because as the moon moves through Pisces, it's also opposing those things in Virgo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like even Saturn and the sun, there's that opposition going on
Hmm.
too. So like yeah, just continue to feel that out. And remember also what I said too about the archetype of Pisces being God and Virgo being Jesus. And like you are embodying, again, I just want to stress that you are embodying spirituality. That's the point of the Virgo, Pisces polarity, duality, whatever you want to call it. The part of that is the where you find that in the middle is you taking all of this spiritual stuff over here and all of this human practical healing bodysuit stuff over here and putting them together. Like, how can you
And
be?
what does that look like to you?
Yeah.
It could be anything. Like it could be, oh, now I need to start, like you could feel pulled to start doing like, or you probably already fucking felt this. Let's be real, because starting on Monday, you're not supposed to be starting new things, remember? So, like you feel pulled to like, let's do herbalism. Let's like start making stuff like this. Or like there's a lot of people that are feeling pulled like right now because like let's move, let's get a bunch of people together, let's go get some land, let's move out wherever. Like now is the time to like how that's it. And the another thing that popped into my head when you were saying that, because you don't have a lot of muted energy, Erica, when it comes to like, holy shit, there's so much going on. Oh my God, this is crazy. Having the polarity and the full moon with it, it's gonna feel even more uncomfortable. So, muted seasons are always a lot. Muted seasons with a full moon, 7 things in retrograde, like you're not the only one struggling. Take fucking care of yourself.
You also got me thinking though about talking about the mutable thing. Like cardinal is you starting it, fixed is you sustaining it. So now we're reaching that point of like all the shit. It's like that quote I wrote, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like
Okay.
when shit starts getting mutable, how do you not give up on the things you've been working on, the intentions you already planted, the things you've already been working on to sustaining? We get to this mutable season, that's when people tend to give up. So
Yeah. And
I'll
what
just
you
say it
need
that
to be doing is crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Like you're just slowly, okay, that's shit. I don't like that. Let's fix this a little bit. Like just slow, slow. Yeah.
way. Love you, slow down. I
Yeah.
love Yeah, like kind of what we said too about that Virgo energy of refinement, the making the refinements, like kind of just like the last finishing touches.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And the last, how you find those last finishing touches when those obstacles come in. Because think about it this way, if you start a
Yeah.
project, you've been sustaining this project, all's going good, the wheel is a turning, and then the only way you're going to find the holes in your system is if something comes there to fuck it up,
Yep.
to show you where the holes are in your system, and then you have
Yep.
to go back to the drawing board a little bit and be like, oh, that didn't work, oh, make that repair. And
Yeah.
that goes back to why Mercury, like everybody's so scared of Mercury retrograde, but that's the freaking point in it. Like
Yeah.
I
You
think this is
need
like,
it.
it's been like, this is like, I'm just want to say I'm proud of myself because I think that this is not the first Mercury retrograde, but maybe like the second or third Mercury retrograde where I am not um
Dreading it.
or depressed about it. Like
Oh
normally my
shit.
car, like when I'm like I said with the juggling act thing, and then you throw in my car breaking down, that used to send old Erica into mental
Oh yeah.
breakdown mode. Now
Yeah.
it was like as soon as that happened, I was actually the calm one in that situation because I have remembered throughout all of this experience that like
You should
these things
expect
happen.
this.
These things
Yeah.
happen. And that's to me saying, I'm so lucky and everything works out for me. And guess what? It did. Could have been so
Hmm.
much worse, you know?
Oh
And I
God,
think
yeah.
that that's why we give up, because we take the victim mentality in those moments instead of
Yep.
taking the mentality of just,
Warrior.
yeah. Okay.
Yep. Let's take on the warrior. You're Braveheart. What the fuck? What is that? Mel Gibson. Don't be Mel
Mel
Gibson. He's a shit
Gibson,
human. But
Claire. Mel
yeah.
Gibson.
I think he's a shit human. I just remember him eating a Big Mac and that was a bad thing. What was that about?
I don't even know. I don't
He
know
was like
enough
screaming at his daughter or something. It was like eating a Big
Oh,
Mac and he was like wasted or something.
that kind of rings a bell. I was thinking
Yeah.
he was like drunk on the phone with his wife or something, but I don't
Oh,
know.
maybe it was. I don't know. I thought it was his daughter. Whatever. Okay, keep going. Don't fucking care about him.
Okay, so Friday, now the moon is in Aries. So
Woo!
we're gonna go back to that. I think we're gonna feel back into that Aries Libra thing again. You know, it's gonna
Okay.
be
Yeah.
like, and especially because we're gonna have our feelings and our emotions now in that
Mm-hmm.
Aries area, but still we'll have our Mars in that Libra
Mm.
area. So it's like, I want to do this and I feel this.
Yeah. It's gonna feel uncomfortable again. Here we go again. More. Yay.
And you know,
It's okay.
air and fire is explosive when we're trying to combine those two things together.
Why did you say that?
Because I've also
Aries.
studied,
What's
I've
air?
also I've also the Libra. I've also
Oh
saw
fuck.
seen it that way because okay, if you think about like for instance the fact that my Libra stuff is my rising sign. So that means my descendant is Aries,
Aries.
right? And yeah, and so this reminds me again, back to old Erica. I need to come up with a nickname for old Erica like you
Mm-hmm.
have, so that way it's easier to reference. But back then I had this tendency to bottle everything up, like all these little annoyances of people just pissing me off, taking advantage of me, treating me like shit, treating me like a doormat, like all that. And I'd just let it pile up, pile up, pile up until whenever old Erica exploded, it was terrifying. Like I made grown men cry. Like I was like because it was
Oh,
like
me
it
too.
was an explosion, you know? So I just want to say that because you know maybe beware of that come Friday,
Yeah.
especially after you have because I also think that this full moon could cause a lot more awakenings.
Oh,
You know,
whoa. Ah,
you didn't think about it that way yet.
no, but that makes sense because Chris from Ecuador, that was something that she kept saying. She's like, God, I feel like I'm in my awakening again. I
Yep.
don't like this. It feels terrible. Like, cause
I
going
feel
through
that
your
way too.
spiritual awakening, it's fucking uncomfortable. Like you've seen the memes where it's like people look all disheveled and fucking terrible, and it's like,
Like what is life? Yeah.
yeah, like
But then
we're doing it.
I think that's a good thing to break up too, because another thing that really frustrates me is the misconception that spiritual awakening means one time, because it does not. If there's
No,
anything that I've learned, it's every time
time
you
is
think
linear,
you're
or
done, it happens again. You know,
not
like
linear.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't even know how many spiritual awakenings I've had at this point. There's been so
Oh,
freaking many of them.
it's like we have to keep
So
leveling up.
thank you for saying that because this gives me the opportunity of another thing that I've been passionate about again that I haven't been passionate about in a while, and that is spiral dynamics. It's the same thing. It is this evolution that we all go on as a collective and individually. And the collective is like the ocean, and we are little drops in that ocean. So as we go through this spiral individually, we are going through this spiral as that drop in the ocean. The more that we can raise that ocean up to our level. And while we're doing that, notice because it's been a big one for me too. I think that's why awakenings are so scary because every time you have one, you realize that you're getting further away from most people and the lonelier you get. And it takes a lot of bravery and courage to go there because the more
Look
that
at your face right now. You're like, it's okay. Like
because that's a big one for me.
it
It's like,
really is. Yeah, yeah, I get you. And it's so true. I didn't mean to like make fun of you, but you were
oh,
really trying to like hold that care for
Yes.
the person. Yeah, I felt it was beautiful. Um, yeah, it is. It's, lonely at the top.
And the reason why is because every time I think of it this way, every time you awaken, it's like you pull a layer off. We've talked about that a lot. And when you pull that layer off, you're more aware of something that you weren't aware of
Yeah.
previously. That's all evolution is. That's all awakening is. It's you becoming aware of something that you were not previously
Yep.
aware of. And every time that happens, your whole worldview changes. And
Hmm.
every time your whole worldview changes, the meaning of language even changes. So then you don't make sense to people anymore. You try to
Ah,
explain this new level that you're at because you want to keep those people in your life. You're like, hey, I love you. I care about you. So I really want to explain this to you. But they haven't pulled that layer off yet. So they
yep.
have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
So that goes all the way back to the Libra balance. It's not working anymore. We got to find a different balance. How am I going to keep this person in my life? What boundaries do I need to have them here? Like it's a restructuring, rebalancing, retrograde.
Yep. Oh yeah, perfect. Freaking perfect. And it might even be you deciding to, go a
Cut them
different
out.
way or cut them
Yeah.
off. Yeah, it's like because sometimes that is what we have to do. It's just the
Yeah.
reality of it. Sometimes we get so far uncovered from someone that there's just no going back. Like
Yep.
I felt that way a lot lately where it's like some of the
Yeah.
people I just can't go there with them. And
Hmm.
then I think it's when you feel like you get to a point where you really have to be inauthentic because realize that every time you pull a layer off, that's your new reality. That's your new person. That's who you are now. That is your authenticity. So if you have to fake it to
Wow.
go back, you're shrinking yourself again,
Yep.
right? Don't go to places like that because then
So
you're,
basically, if you are feeling imposter syndrome right now, you're probably on the right track.
ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Because
Hmm.
you're making it out there into a world that a lot of people don't understand.
Yep.
Okay.
Can
Uh,
your past self be called suck a bitch?
like as in like I was a sucker. I yeah, I could feel
So
that.
SB or suck a bitch? Like I was looking up like I don't know, that one stuck out to me. It doesn't have to be. We can keep going. Sorry.
I'll play around with
Okay.
that.
All right.
All right. So Saturday, Saturday the moon is still in Aries. But now it's kind of popping off a little bit more, right? Because it's at that point in Aries where it makes a trine to Venus. So that's the point where we're like, this is who I am. Like we're kind of getting that energy. Then it conjuncts Chiron and we're like, who I am hurts so much, like that kind of feeling. And then it goes up to the North Node and it's like, I don't care if it hurts, I'm going somewhere with this.
Mm,
And that's all in one day. So have fun with
yeah.
that.
Saturday. A second. Ugh, okay.
I think it's because of also that purpose in the pain. If this is who you are,
Mm,
if this is who you are, remember that I'm gonna grab him.
it's okay.
It's not even anyone there. You're very annoying.
No, you're not. We love you, beef beef.
So if there is
You so cute.
if Aries is I am and Libra is I will. So we're playing on that. It's like this is who you are and this is what you're gonna do with it. And then we have Chiron in the mix. This is who you are. This is your pain. This is what is wounded you. This is where you're
Oh,
hurt. What are you gonna do with that? What
I
is the
just saw the like dark passenger thing again. Like, this is who I am. This is my shadows, pain, whatever. We're friends now. Let's ride together.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. And again, back to fixed energy. Yeah, we're
Hmm.
writing, we're sustaining, we're not giving up, we're going forward, right? So that's yeah, let's leave it at that for Saturday. Sunday Mercury in retrograde starts to trine Jupiter in Taurus as the moon moves into Taurus. Um so remember Jupiter is not retrograde yet. So Jupiter is still really expansive right now.
Good, good.
It's still really out there, but it's grounded expansiveness, as it's in Taurus. It's the reality.
Ah,
It's
that makes
the
sense.
remember grounding like that.
Not delusion.
Yeah, that's also manifestation. It's bringing that stuff up, the expanded stuff up here and grounding it into reality. As it's making a trine to Mercury retrograde, this is an earth trine.
Okay.
So again, with that grounding things into reality,
Oh, good.
but more of like an internal type of way, I think. So it's like I also
That
think
feels so much better.
we should watch what we're really critical of. Because like I think that's how you might notice what what you're grounding into reality. Is it coming from a very critical place, or is it coming from a healing place?
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah.
'Cause I could see that popping up a lot too. People being overly critical of themselves. I think that that's what I want to point out.
Or others.
Or others. Healing comes, that quote that you read before we started the podcast. Healing comes from love and compassion.
What quote? On my tea?
Yeah.
It was like, what do you want to leave behind? Make make sure that it's love. It was something like that.
Yeah, like I think I remembered it as like if you're known for anything when you're
Yeah.
gone, we give
Yes.
you love, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if we're talking back to Virgo healing, this internal healing that's going on, so don't think of it so much as other people. Maybe that's the mentality. Let spirit take care of other people. When it comes to
Okay.
healing yourself, this turning inward that's going on,
Yeah.
you can't do that if you don't have any compassion for yourself. If
Mm.
you're just being critical.
Okay. That makes so much sense.
And I know that's like
Forgive.
something that I do a
Forgive.
lot
Hmm.
and do that for yourself.
Yeah. Think of it. I've been having to do this a lot with clients too, where I'm like, okay, if you were to tell, like, I have to do this with myself, like, okay, what would I tell a client? If this is something, if you have kids, what would you tell your kid in your situation right now that you are in? What would you tell your kid how would to get through it, or what to do, or whatever? If you have to look at yourself like that, or I mean, like, I've done a lot of inner child work to know now that I can even go to be like, okay, little Claire, what does little Claire need, or whatever, But a lot of us are so disconnected from self that we have to look at it as, what would I do for my loved one? What would I do for whatever, in order to just see self?
No,
That makes sense.
that is absolutely perfect. That goes back to exactly what I was saying about the Virgo Jesus energy, the embodying that
Yeah.
spiritualness, right? Because you would say that's that walking your talk, If you
Mhm.
would say this to another person, then why wouldn't you say that to yourself? If you should tell this other, like, because think about that a lot of times, like people will come to you. I know that I've experienced this a lot where people will come to me for help. I tap into that empathy place and I'm like, like, why are you beating yourself up for this? Why are you being so hard on yourself? Why are you like not loving yourself? Why are you not taking care of yourself? And it's
And you
like,
turn around, you're doing the same thing.
yeah, yeah, walking your talk. You're telling
Mhm.
everyone else to do this, and then you're not doing it for yourself.
You're gonna get called out this week, everybody.
Oh, yes, you will. Saturn and
Hmm.
Pisces. It is really cutting through that bullshit.
Yep. Whew. So that's Sunday. Is that it?
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say, like, remember I said the moon moved into Taurus. So come Monday, the moon will conjunct Jupiter while it still trines Mercury in retrograde, So we're really gonna feel that trine, I guess.
Okay.
Sunday and Monday.
And trines, I feel, are,
Good.
well, I want to say good. Yeah, like good feeling. And like, this is grounding. I was just saying, like, we were just talking at the beginning of this, like, nothing feels grounded, everything feels great. Like, so this is gonna feel good.
You also just made me think. I also think of a lot. I think a lot about trines as like natural talents, like stuff like that. So it's also like take
Mm.
what works, focus on what's working,
Don't
focus
start
on what's
new. Don't
flowing.
start new. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't start new. Focus on what's already working. Focus on what you're
Hmm.
already doing. You might have to maneuver a little bit, to stay on track. But
Pivot.
yeah, don't give up on yourself.
Yeah. Love your goddamn self.
Yeah.
Okay. Tarot.
Hero.
All right. I am using the Wandering Moon Tarot. And we have the King of Moons. I usually never read out of these kind of books, but whatever, I'm doing it right now. It called to me today. I am the king of deep emotions and can lead you to the very depths. Oh, I just bit my tongue. Okay. Depths of your soul. I will help you uncover your deepest fears and desires. Be not afraid, for I will be with you. Passionate awareness of self, emotionally mature, skilled lover. Oh, it talks about the artwork. Hang on. A lone moon and a crown are sharing space out in the cosmos. Notice how if the moon were to fall, the crown would catch it. Okay, I just have to like show this again. Okay. Where did it go? Okay. Providing strong, stable energy, they are both enjoying the sharing of the stars that surround them. Both the moon and the crown are strong figures on their own. With their energies combined, they present a stellar, benevolent force of healing. Oh my fucking God. This is my new favorite deck. See, that's my Aries in me when I'm like, ah, I love
What
it.
deck is it?
Like
What deck is it?
the Wandering Moon
Oh, I
Tarot.
thought that was the card. Okay, that's the whole tarot.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. Oh, that was perfect. Okay. And then I'm doing the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and whatever. I never use this deck. I realized that today because when I was like opening it, everything was like crunching and yeah. The weight of the world. And it says boundaries let go. It's not yours to carry. Wow. Okay. You don't need to carry it all. You're no good to anyone if you're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. This card is a reminder to look after your own well being before anyone else's, to stop carrying the world's problems on your shoulders, to put on your own oxygen mask first. And in these changing times, it is hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. Whoa. However, you can't take on its problems from a place of energetic depletion. This card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others. That's incredible. But the way that you've been doing so is likely unstable. This isn't to say that you should switch off the world's problems and become unconscious. Rather, it is to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taken out energetically. The planet needs you to be healthy, both physically and emotionally. So instead of digesting the news, reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to a nourishing practice such as meditation, soul inquiry, deep breathing, exercising in nature. Once you're in a state of grace, your inner well is full. You can face the day, the state of the world, and care for others. And at the day's end, take an energetic shower by emptying out anything that is not yours to carry. You can pick that up again the next morning if you choose so, but give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. So I feel like I need to say this because we have a full moon. Like we didn't say the like just basics of the full moon. Like write down everything that you want to be getting rid of. Write down I need to be getting rid of my limiting belief on this, or I need to be letting go of my anxiety over this, or I need to be letting go of my pressure of feeling like I need to take care of this, or whatever. Write all those down for Wednesday. Burn that shit. Get it out.
Or anything in your life that you notice is wearing you down and you can't seem to find a solution or an answer, right? Like that card really got me with that card just really got me in general because that's been a big thing that I've been going through
Yeah.
where it's like I said, it's like on one hand there's people that don't want to do anything about the state of the world, and then on the other hand there's people that are trying to do everything and they aren't any good because they're depleted and
Yeah. Yeah. So balance. We got to
So
find
just
the new
so just
balance.
listen to us.
Yeah, God, we know everything. No, okay. Okay, so I'm using this one. I'm really drawn to this witch's wisdom lately. So remember, it has a little poem thing. This is the Homeland Foundation. And I somehow pulled two of these, so we have two. So this is the first one. Homeland calls you from afar to remember who you are. Foundation is the very key to understand more easily. The magic is worked with harm to none, so mote it be, there it is done. I love that.
Yeah.
um, Remembering and acknowledging where you come from is the very foundation that a witch can build her strength upon. When your roots are planted fully in the ground that you call home, the wisdom of the ancestors can be assessed and utilized. Homeland is beckoning you to take a long awaited trip back home to visit and connect with the lands of your ancestors that they once walked upon. Allow past memories to surface, whether happy or sad, and tap into your feelings to discover who you really are and what makes you tick. You may have a yearning to travel into distant lands that you have never set foot on. Past life connections are surfacing right now, and it is important that you honor this calling. Place upon your altar some earth from your homeland. Place upon your altar some earth from your homeland, whether from this lifetime or another, so that you can connect with this very essence of who you are in the land that you walked upon long ago. Okay, that was okay. So visit your childhood home. Oh, okay. Whoa.
Roots,
Fuck,
grounding,
man.
bringing
That
this
just like
shit into reality.
fucked my, that just like slapped me in the face right
Me
there.
too. Me too.
Okay. So visit your childhood home. Honor any feelings that you have about your past. Face up and accept where you come from. Your past is catching up with you. A foreign land stirs something up within you and investigate your family tree. Look towards home for answers. Whoa.
You know, I think this is a big part too of like on one side, you're like the I want to help everyone. I want to do
Yeah.
something about this. I want to figure this out. I want to crack this code, you know? And then on the other side, that's like a hamster wheel, you know? And then on the other side, I think of like back to that Jesus thing again, you know, like Jesus was this man here on earth. He could have stayed, and I'm just totally going
Yeah.
off of like,
He was
I'm
a
trying to make like
human.
an analogy here,
Yeah.
kind of, but like,
I know. I'll help you.
okay, because like he was the human here on earth. God could have chosen to not have that happen. He could have
Yep.
just stayed up in God world. But
Mhm.
instead, he's like, you know, it's all great down here in heaven, but I'm going to come down there and help. You know, I'm going
Yeah.
to bring this down here and help. And then as Jesus, I've just had this whole thing because there was this whole part, right, where Jesus was trying to be Jesus and he's like, God, this is hard, no one will listen to me, I'm trying to help but no one will listen to me, I like, you know, they're not understanding me, blah blah blah. And what did he do? He like fell to his knees and he's like, why God, like, why am I here? Like, why did you do this to me? And I think that that's the moment right now. And that's what that card is. And that's what this Virgo Pisces duality is. It's like that moment, that just like humbling,
Humbling was the best word.
like crying the tears of
Yeah.
humanity through you, you know, this pain
And
and
like
suffering,
you
this
said
whole
earlier,
world.
like I'm so frustrated being a human.
Yeah.
So for me, that brought it into reality to me to say, visit your childhood home. Like to me,
You're
that
here
was
for a
like,
reason. Yeah, you're
oh my
here for a
God.
reason.
No,
Yeah.
that's not what I was feeling. I was
Oh.
feeling okay, I'm visiting my childhood home. I do have trauma. I do have human shit.
Oh.
I do have scars, wounds, triggers. I am a human. I'm going to fuck up. Humble myself. I'm not up here. I'm a
Mm.
fuck up a lot. Aries, we're going to fuck up a lot. Okay, next one. I don't know what this is about. This one's interesting. So it's a witch's cottage and it says security. Look how, oh, I want to live there. Look at all those little fairies. Oh, look, there's a little cat. Oh, and a crow. Okay. The poem. Within the forest, dark and deep, is a dwelling yours to keep. Safe within your home, you'll be assisted by security. The magic is worked with harm to none, so mote to be. There, it's done. Okay. Insecurities and lack of self confidence. Ah, okay. So this is the thing that was fucking us up. Okay. Insecurities and lack of self confidence have a habit of manifesting. Feeling like an outsider makes it difficult to be positive and fit in. So, right now, instead of being on the outside looking in, you have been given the key to let yourself into the witch's cottage for a while, where you will find all you need to become strong enough to deal with everything that is hurled at you. Oh, perfect words. Explore every room and discover what it is that you feel that you are good at. Oh, okay. I lost my place because I got excited about it. Hang on. And what you feel most comfortable with. You may find that it is the kitchen filled with herbs and plants to make medicinal recipes. Oh my god, I fucking said that. Okay. Or perhaps it's the welcome warmth of the hearth where you feel most at home. As you investigate, you will discover the right tools and meet friends and familiars along the way for you to choose form and work with until you feel strong enough and ready to reemerge with the security as your supporter into the bold and confident witch that you really are. God, I fucking love this. So, right now, especially with this Pisces full moon, we are going into that witch's cottage. It's time for healing. Go into there. Come to the pink shed.
That preparation before war too. Remember
Yep.
we talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah, because that war comes when you feel strong enough to go face it.
Okay, so let others in instead of shutting them out. You are protected, supported, and safe. Trust the divine outcome. Recognize your strength and talents. A new home awaits. Rediscover your likes and dislikes, and don't try too hard to fit in. What? Did somebody just say something?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what you're saying. There are people outside. Oh, okay. I don't know where we're at.
That's pretty much it. I mean, like, I'll just kind of wrap up the
yeah.
if you want to go take care of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys. It's gonna be a fun one. The only things I have to say, and maybe I actually won't. Maybe I'll just I'm just gonna wait. We can cut that part out. So remember that. What was that?
Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, okay. I pushed a button on my AirPods and it started playing my podcast. Okay. Okay, everybody. That is the gist of everything that's going on.
That's that beautiful energy we were talking about.
Just flow with it. Take care of it. Bob and weave. Let go, let flow. If you need any help, we're here. Book some sessions. We still have our specials. Yeah. Mercury's retrograde, guys. When Mercury's retrograde for me, the words don't come to my head, and everybody else fucks up words and stuff. Mine is just like, that's gone. I don't know what that word was. But anyways, make sure to check out all our links and everything. Like, share, comment, blah, 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 blah. Do not forget, this is the week that Awaken the Witch Festival tickets go on sale. It's going to sell out. There's a limited amount available. Don't forget, September 1st. Get on it.
You want to find those people you fit in with. Just saying.
But yes, thank you, everybody. I love you. See you next week.